Welcome back to Andy Explores the World. Today, we're diving into the United Kingdom, but not with the usual clichés you've heard 1,000 times. Forget Buckingham Palace postcards and tourist guidebook trivia. In this video, you'll discover strange, fascinating, and little-known facts that even many locals don't know. From haunted castles and beer-drinking prisoners to why the royal family can't vote, these are the stories that make Britain truly one of a kind. Stick with me until the end, and you'll never look at the UK the same way again. Fact 1. British dialects can be incomprehensible. The United Kingdom is home to an astonishing variety of dialects, so distinct that even native English speakers sometimes struggle to understand each other. For example, someone from Newcastle speaking in the Geordie dialect might be almost impossible to follow for someone from rural Cornwall, and vice versa. This is not simply about accent. It extends to vocabulary, grammar, and even rhythm of speech. Words that are completely normal in Yorkshire may sound like a foreign language in London. Linguists note that Britain has one of the densest concentrations of dialects in the world, shaped by geography, history, and centuries of isolation between small communities. Even today, traveling just a few miles can expose you to a totally different way of speaking. It is a linguistic patchwork that makes the UK endlessly fascinating. Fact 2. The Scottish bagpipe's true origins. Although the bagpipe is now an iconic symbol of Scotland, its roots actually stretch much further back to the ancient Middle East. Historical records suggest that primitive versions of the instrument existed in Mesopotamia and Egypt thousands of years ago. These early bagpipes used reeds and animal bladders to create the droning, continuous sound. Roman soldiers are believed to have brought the concept to the British Isles, where it eventually evolved into the Highland bagpipe we recognize today. Scotland embraced it so strongly that it became linked with national pride, military tradition, and cultural festivals. Ironically, the most Scottish instrument is in fact an immigrant itself, shaped by centuries of adaptation. Its global journey highlights how traditions we think of as uniquely local often have surprisingly international origins. Fact 3. The word pub comes from public house. The beloved British pub is not just a place to drink beer, it is an institution with centuries of history. The term itself is short for public house, a phrase that emerged in the 17th century to describe establishments licensed to serve alcohol to the general public. Before that, alehouses and taverns existed, but the public house became a more regulated, community-centered space. Over time, pubs transformed into social hubs where neighbors, workers, and travelers gathered to relax, eat, and exchange news. Each region developed its own unique pub culture, from cozy rural inns with roaring fireplaces to grand Victorian taverns in London. The pub is so deeply ingrained in British life that many villages still revolve around it as their main meeting point. It is less about alcohol, more about belonging. Fact 4. London has more Michelin-starred restaurants than any other European city. When people think of London, they often picture pubs, fish and chips, or curry houses, but the city is also one of the world's fine dining capitals. London boasts more Michelin-starred restaurants than any other city in Europe, surpassing Paris in recent years. This reflects not only Britain's culinary renaissance, but also its openness to international influences. From Gordon Ramsay's legendary establishments to hidden gems offering Japanese kaiseki or modern Indian fusion, London's food scene is as diverse as its population. Diners can indulge in luxury tasting menus costing several £100s or dollars, or find affordable Michelin-starred spots for under 50. The competition and creativity among chefs have transformed London from a place once mocked for bland food into a global gourmet destination. Fact 5. The British royal family cannot legally vote. In the United Kingdom, the royal family plays a symbolic and ceremonial role, but they are legally barred from participating in elections. The reigning monarch, currently King Charles III, as well as other senior royals, are expected to remain strictly neutral in political matters. This rule exists to preserve the monarchy's impartiality and prevent any suggestion of favoritism toward a party or policy. While technically some minor royals could vote, in practice none of them do, as it would be seen as breaking constitutional convention. The irony is that the royal family, who embody the nation, have no voice in shaping its democratic outcomes. This neutrality helps maintain the monarchy's stability and relevance, but it also highlights the unusual balance of tradition and democracy in Britain. Fact 6. British lawyers still wear wigs in court. Step into a courtroom in the United Kingdom, and you might feel as though you have traveled back in time. Judges and barristers often wear powdered wigs, a tradition dating back to the 17th century when wigs were fashionable among the elite. Over time, the fashion faded, but the legal profession kept the practice as a symbol of authority, anonymity, and continuity. The wig, along with the black robe, helps strip away individuality, reminding everyone that justice is about law, not personality. While some courts have relaxed the rule, especially in family and civil cases, criminal courts still demand the full attire. These wigs are not cheap, often handmade from horsehair and costing several £100s or dollars. Love it or hate it, the wig remains an iconic image of British justice. Fact 7. The world's first urban police force, Scotland Yard, was founded in London. Modern policing, as we know it today, began in London in the early 19th century. In the year 1829, Home Secretary Sir Robert Peel established the Metropolitan Police Service, headquartered at Scotland Yard. This was the world's first organised urban police force, designed to replace the inconsistent system of watchmen and parish constables. The officers quickly became known as bobbies or peelers after their founder. Their mission was not only to catch criminals, but also to prevent crime through constant visibility on the streets. At first, the public distrusted them, fearing a loss of freedom. But over time, they became a respected symbol of law and order. Scotland Yard itself has since become synonymous with British policing, its name recognised worldwide. Fact 8. The United Kingdom has more haunted places than any other European country. Ghost stories are woven deep into British history, and the country boasts more haunted locations than anywhere else in Europe. From the Tower of London, where the spirits of Anne Boleyn and other executed figures are said to roam, to remote castles in Scotland and eerie mansions in Wales, almost every region has its supernatural legends. Many pubs, inns and theatres claim centuries of ghostly sightings, often linked to tragic historical events such as battles, executions, or plagues. Britain's long history of war, monarchy, and intrigue has left behind countless tales of restless souls. Today, ghost tourism is big business, with haunted tours, overnight vigils, and paranormal investigations drawing thousands of curious visitors. Whether believer or skeptic, these stories add a mysterious charm to the British landscape. Fact 9. Big Ben is one of the most accurate timepieces in the world. Big Ben, often mistakenly thought to be the clock tower itself, is actually the nickname for the massive bell inside the Elizabeth Tower at London's Palace of Westminster. The clock mechanism, designed in the mid-19th century, remains one of the most reliable timepieces ever built. Its accuracy is so impressive that tiny adjustments are made using old pennies placed on the pendulum. Adding a coin makes the clock run slightly faster, removing one slows it down. Despite bombings during World War II and the relentless London weather, Big Ben has rarely faltered. Its chimes are broadcast live by the BBC, symbolizing not only punctuality, but also British resilience. For many, the sound of Big Ben striking the hour is as iconic as the sight of the tower itself. Fact 10. Talking about the weather is a national pastime. In the United Kingdom, discussing the weather is more than small talk. It is a cultural ritual. The island's location between the Atlantic Ocean and the European continent makes the climate famously unpredictable, with sunshine, rain, and wind often arriving all in the same day. This constant variability gives people endless material for conversation. A stranger might break the ice on a bus or in a queue simply by saying, "Lovely day, isn't it?" even if it is pouring rain. The topic is safe, neutral, and universally relatable, which makes it the perfect social lubricant in a reserved society. Weather chatter has even been described by sociologists as a social code in Britain, helping people bond without revealing anything personal. In short, in Britain, weather talk is serious business. Fact 11. England has one of the smallest houses in the world. In the Welsh town of Conwy stands the famous smallest house in Great Britain, officially recognized as a national treasure. Built in the 16th century, this tiny, red-painted home measures just about 10 feet high and 6 feet wide, with a floor area barely large enough for a single bed and a stove. Despite its size, it was continuously inhabited until the year 1900, when the last tenant, a fisherman, was deemed too tall to stand upright inside. Today, visitors can step into the cramped space for a small fee in pounds or dollars, experiencing firsthand the modest living conditions of past centuries. The house is a quirky reminder that not all of Britain's history is about grandeur and castles. Sometimes it is about survival in miniature. Fact 12. The Royal Navy once brewed its own beer for sailors. Long voyages at sea posed huge challenges for the British Royal Navy, and one surprising solution was beer. Fresh water quickly went stale aboard ships, so sailors were issued daily rations of beer, which was safer to drink and boosted morale. To meet this need, the Navy even brewed its own supplies, creating recipes that were strong enough to last months at sea. Over time, beer rations were partly replaced by rum, giving birth to the famous naval tradition of the daily tot of rum. This practice only ended in 1970, when modern supply chains made alcohol unnecessary for survival. Still, the connection between the Royal Navy and beer remains a fascinating glimpse into how Britain's seafaring dominance was sustained not just by cannons, but also by kegs. Fact 13. The Guinness World Records is a British invention. The Guinness World Records, now a global authority on extraordinary achievements, began in the United Kingdom in the 1950s. Sir Hugh Beaver, the managing director of the Guinness Brewery, came up with the idea after a debate about the fastest game bird in Europe during a hunting trip. He realized that pub arguments could be settled with an authoritative book of facts, and so the first edition was published in 1955. Initially intended as a promotional giveaway, it became an instant bestseller and has since evolved into an international phenomenon. Today, people around the world attempt bizarre and brilliant feats just to earn a place in its pages. From the longest fingernails to the largest pizza, the book reflects humanity's endless curiosity, all thanks to a British beer company. Fact 14. The flush toilet was invented by a Briton. The modern flush toilet, an invention that transformed public health and daily life, was first conceived in England. Sir John Harrington, a courtier to Queen Elizabeth I, designed an early version in 1596, complete with a cistern and flush mechanism. Though ahead of its time, the invention did not spread widely until the 19th century, when industrial advances made plumbing more practical. Thomas Crapper, a later plumber and businessman, helped popularize and improve the design, his name becoming humorously linked with the toilet itself. The flush toilet was revolutionary, dramatically reducing disease in crowded cities and setting new standards for hygiene. Today, it is taken for granted worldwide, but its roots trace back to British ingenuity and a touch of royal influence. Fact 15. The world's first ATM appeared in North London. The convenience of withdrawing cash from a machine began in Britain. In 1967, the very first automated teller machine was unveiled at a Barclays Bank branch in Enfield, North London. Unlike today's plastic debit cards, customers used specially treated paper vouchers containing a radioactive ink that the machine could read. Each transaction dispensed £10, which in the 1960s was quite a sum, worth well over $100 in today's money. The invention was developed by John Shepherd Barron, who said he was inspired by chocolate vending machines. His idea revolutionized banking, spreading across the globe and changing how people access money. From that small London suburb, the ATM became a worldwide standard, saving countless hours once spent queuing at bank counters. Fact 16. The world's first postage stamp was invented by the British. In the year 1840, Britain transformed global communication by introducing the penny black, the world's very first adhesive postage stamp. Before its invention, the cost of sending a letter was paid by the recipient, which often led to confusion and unpaid deliveries. Sir Rowland Hill devised a system where the sender prepaid the postage with a small, standardized stamp featuring the profile of Queen Victoria. The penny black cost just 1 penny, an affordable rate that opened letter writing to ordinary citizens and not only the wealthy. This innovation spread rapidly across the world, creating the foundation for modern postal systems. Today, original penny black stamps are prized collectibles, sometimes valued at thousands of pounds or dollars. What began as a simple reform became a revolution in human connection. Fact 17. London has more trees than Paris. Although London is often thought of as a sprawling urban jungle, it is surprisingly green, in fact, greener than Paris. The British capital has more than 8 million trees, enough that some botanists have described it as an urban forest. From royal parks like Hyde Park and Richmond Park to quiet, tree-lined streets in residential neighbourhoods, London's greenery plays a vital role in improving air quality, reducing noise, and cooling the city during hot summers. Paris, by contrast, has far fewer trees per square mile, giving London a clear edge in urban nature. This abundance of trees also provides a habitat for countless bird species and even wild deer in certain parks. For residents and visitors alike, London is proof that a megacity can still feel close to nature. Fact 18. Stonehenge is older than the Egyptian pyramids. Stonehenge, the mysterious circle of massive stones on Salisbury Plain, predates even the Great Pyramid of Giza. Archaeologists estimate that construction began around 3100 BC, making it several centuries older than Egypt's most famous monument. Its purpose remains debated. Theories range from a temple for sun worship to an astronomical calendar or even a burial site for elite members of society. The stones themselves are a marvel. Some weigh over 25 tons and were transported from quarries up to 150 miles away, a staggering feat with prehistoric technology. Despite centuries of study, Stonehenge's exact meaning is still unknown, adding to its mystique. What is clear is that this ancient British site connects us to a civilization capable of extraordinary engineering and imagination. Fact 19. Most of Scotland's land is uninhabited. Scotland is famed for its rugged beauty, and much of that comes from the fact that huge areas of the country are uninhabited. The Highlands and Islands, with their mountains, lochs, and windswept moors, remain largely empty of permanent settlements. In fact, roughly two-thirds of Scotland's land has no towns or villages, making it one of the least densely populated regions in Europe. This emptiness creates vast opportunities for wildlife, from red deer and golden eagles to otters along the loch shores. For travelers, it means endless hiking trails, serene landscapes, and skies free of light pollution, perfect for stargazing. While cities like Edinburgh and Glasgow buzz with culture, most of Scotland offers something else: pure solitude, where nature dominates and human presence feels almost secondary. Fact 20. The Royal Navy once outnumbered all other fleets combined. At the height of the British Empire in the 19th century, the Royal Navy was the most powerful maritime force the world had ever seen. It was so vast that at one point, Britain possessed more warships than all the other major fleets on Earth combined. This dominance was not accidental. Britain, being an island nation, relied on sea power to protect trade routes, colonies, and its very survival. The Navy enforced the Pax Britannica, keeping global sea lanes open and secure, which fueled the empire's economic might. Its ships carried not only cannons, but also innovations in navigation, medicine, and engineering. Though today the Royal Navy is much smaller, its legacy lives on, and its history explains how a relatively small nation once controlled a quarter of the world's land. Fact 21. Over 300 languages are spoken in London. London is often described as the world's most cosmopolitan city, and its linguistic diversity proves the point. More than 300 languages are spoken daily across the capital, making it one of the richest linguistic hubs on Earth. From Bengali, Yoruba, and Polish to Tamil, Turkish, and Tagalog, London's neighborhoods echo with voices from every continent. This diversity stems from centuries of immigration, trade, and the city's role as a global financial and cultural center. In schools, children routinely grow up bilingual or even trilingual, switching between English and their heritage languages with ease. For visitors, this means you can find authentic cuisine, cultural festivals, and communities from nearly every corner of the globe. London truly embodies the idea of a global village where the entire world coexists. Fact 22. Beer was once a staple in British prisons. In earlier centuries, British prisons had very different diets from what we imagine today, and surprisingly, beer was a central part of daily rations. Clean drinking water was often scarce and unsafe, so weak ale, low in alcohol but rich in calories, was provided to inmates as a safer and more nourishing alternative. It kept prisoners hydrated while also supplying essential carbohydrates. Records from the 18th and 19th centuries show that beer was distributed regularly, sometimes alongside bread and gruel. Over time, reformers criticized this practice, arguing that alcohol encouraged disorder, and by the Victorian era, it was gradually phased out. The idea may seem shocking now, but in a world without modern sanitation, beer was considered a practical necessity rather than a luxury. Fact 23. The British monarch has 2 birthdays. One of the quirkiest royal traditions in Britain is that the monarch gets to celebrate 2 birthdays each year. The actual date is, of course, their real day of birth, but a second official celebration, known as the Trooping the Colour, takes place in summer. This tradition started with King George II in the 18th century because his November birthday was too cold and wet for outdoor festivities. By moving the public celebration to June, better weather was almost guaranteed. Today, the monarch enjoys private celebrations on their real birthday and a grand military parade, flyovers and ceremonies for the official one. It's a tradition that underlines the difference between the sovereign as a private individual and as a public symbol of the nation. Fact 24. The world's first insurance company was founded in London. London has always been a city of innovation, especially in commerce, and it is where the concept of modern insurance was born. In the 17th century, maritime trade was booming but highly risky, with ships often lost to storms or pirates. Merchants met at Edward Lloyd's coffee house, where they began pooling money to cover these losses. This informal system evolved into Lloyd's of London, the world's first formal insurance company. The idea soon spread beyond shipping to cover fire, property, and eventually life insurance. Today, Lloyd's is a global leader in the field, insuring everything from Hollywood stars' body parts to space missions. What started as a simple way to protect trade became one of the foundations of the modern financial system. Fact 25. The Welsh dragon is missing from the Union Jack. The Union Jack, Britain's iconic flag, combines the crosses of England, Scotland, and Ireland, but Wales is conspicuously absent. This omission dates back to history, when the first version of the Union flag was created in 1606. Wales was already considered part of England, following its annexation in the 16th century. As a result, the Red Dragon of Wales was left out, even though it is one of Europe's most ancient national symbols. Many Welsh people feel the omission downplays their distinct identity, though the dragon continues to fly proudly on the national Welsh flag. From time to time, debates surface about updating the Union Jack to include Wales, but tradition has kept the design unchanged for centuries. It remains one of Britain's most contested symbols. And that wraps up our journey through the United Kingdom's most unusual and lesser-known facts. I hope you discovered something new today, maybe even a detail that surprised you about Britain's culture, history, or traditions. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the other documentaries on Andy Explores the World for even more hidden gems from across the globe. Drop your corrections, extra facts, or local insights in the comments. I read everything and reply to everyone. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep exploring the world with me.